Alright, we're checking the M-4 carbine today. I already took off the most common parts, which are about these 5 parts right here. Everybody should know how to take these off already, unexplained. Then these are going to be all your bolts, and you got 1 screw. Alright, these are going to be all the bolts you have to take out with an Allen wrench and a Phillips screwdriver. As far as these screws go, bolts, as far as these bolts go, you got this screw that's going to be on the back side of this grip right here, because everything you're going to be doing is going to be on this side of the gun other than that screw. You got your 2 small bolts. These 2 bolts are going to go up here in the top, and then these set of 6, they can kind of get a little tricky. So you got these 2 long ones. 2 of these long ones are going to go right here into the grip, and then you got the small one that will go right here in the top. Then the other 2 small ones are going to go in these 2 spots. And then your last long one over here, once you get this part onto the gun, this bolt will actually slide right in here. The longest one, that is for the iron sight. You can slide the iron sight on, put the screw wherever you think it looks best, and you screw it in. Now that I got all that, we are going to take it apart. Just take the grips off. Set this to the side for now. Pull this off, set that to the side, and then you should just be able to take this right off. Now take a good look on what the inside of the gun looks like, because you are going to need to put it back together just like this. Alright, now that we got all that said and done, we're going to go ahead and take it apart so we can clean everything that you need to take off. All that's next is grab some awesome and a rag and start wiping everything down. Now the springs, you do not want to wipe the springs down with awesome. You're going to have 4 different springs that go throughout the gun. Awesome will corrode them. If there's any paint or gunk on them, wipe it down with the dry part of the rag. Then at the end, once you start putting everything back together, you're going to put a little bit of some of the tippman oil that we have all over the springs and all over the O-rings. The only O-ring that you do not need to put oil on is going to be the one that's right here. Other than that, every O-ring does need to have a little bit of oil on it. That way it helps the gun function the way it's supposed to. Alright, so now I'm about to start putting everything back together. Everything's already wiped down. Alright, now that I got the gun all back together, I want to go over a few things. You will have a pin and a little clear white O-ring that goes in here. You would have seen it whenever I took it apart and had all the pieces over to my right. You are going to have 2 small springs that are right here. The bigger spring, the one that is more extended, is always going to go right here on the trigger. The smaller one will be going right here. Whenever you put this in, you're going to have 4 of the little cylinder bolts. The black one is going to go in the far back, and then the other 3 are going to go in these 3 spots. One issue that you may have if you cannot get this top part of the gun to go on all the way is you may not have the airline all the way pushed into the cylinder. So make sure you push that all the way in before you continue putting all the other parts on top of it. There will be this little black piece. This little black piece helps keep the air in the gun. Surprisingly, it's just a little cheap plastic one. It can cause a lot of issues if you do not put this back in. There's a little spot for it to go in, right in the back right here. So make sure that goes in before you put everything back together. Now everything is cleaned, all oiled up. I can now go ahead and start putting everything back together. As you're putting this top part on, you might see that it will not go on. Make sure that you have the the M4 set to fire. As you're putting it down, you're just going to slightly pull the trigger slowly, and it'll fall right in and it'll clip right into place where it's supposed to be. Now all that's left is to put all the bolts back in. Remember, whenever you're putting the grips back on, you put this on first, make sure it's all the way in there, and then you can slide the grips right on. They will clip right into place, and then you can put your bolts in. Alright, now that I got all my bolts back in, except this one right here, because again, you cannot put that bolt in until you have this on. All that's left is to complete, the rest of the parts. All right, now that I got everything all together, one thing I do want to say though is make sure you put the mag all the way into the gun before you add on the hopper attachment. The mag will not go all the way in if you put this on first, so always mag first. Anyways, that completes the tutorial on how to take a M4 paintball gun.